folks, and welcome to another Sunday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
And I'm Jordan.
Hey.
Hey.
Brother.
What's up, man?
It's good to see you, man.
It's great to see you.
Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Why aren't you wearing pants?
Feels great.
Hey, so no pressure, but one of the most listened to Saturday morning Samoflange episodes was when Caleb came on.
Our brother.
Brother came on. And we talked about, get this, we talked about Mario Kart Challenge.
Ooh.
And all the Mario Kart Challenge. So we may have to revisit that. But that, and I'll have to go back and see, but at the time, that was the most listened to podcast.
Oh, this is going to be painful then.
No, because this is, and I just remember something. On Princeton Universe, folks, a few weeks ago, I had Steven, my old roommate, our old friend, talk about the GOAT. Well, I forgot, and I mentioned this on the podcast, I believe, that you were in town, and I totally just forgot you were there until Steven mentioned, Jordan was there too. I was like, that's right. But then you kept going on, and you had a few other details about this GOAT. Now, first off, the other person besides you and Steven asked not to be named. Because he feels so bad about the GOAT. He feels so bad.
It's a traumatic story.
He feels it's his fault, and he feels he made that GOAT suffer, and so he doesn't want his name mentioned. He did tell me that, or he told Steven that. So without mentioning his name, but to be honest, he's not sadistic. He didn't mean to do it.
Oh, no,
and he was
no.
just as horrified as everyone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It wasn't that he was laughing, or going, look at this GOAT, it won't die. Let me stab it a few more times. And he is not mean.
No. It was terrible. We all felt bad for him. We were just glad that we weren't chosen for the task.
Okay, so I'm going to summarize for anyone who doesn't. Some people don't listen to both podcasts. For anyone who didn't, here's a 1 minute or less overview. During a school outing, the teacher, who also has a farm, brought them out to the farm. They were going to kill a goat to eat it at a festival. And so it's all going to be used, all for humane purposes and everything. And he said, okay, well, I want you, we're going to take a gun, kill him. Would you like to do it? And did he volunteer, or did he just say, here?
He did. He volunteered.
He did. And just like we said in Princeton Universe, this most of the kids there knew about gun safety. We weren't just handing a high schooler a gun.
Yeah.
This is the South. Everyone hunts. And you cannot put a gun in a child's hand before teaching them 1 billion times about child safety. So, and I would say this person is probably more experienced as a hunter.
He was the most qualified out of any of us there. That's why he was.
That's why he was chosen. Yeah, he was still the most qualified.
Oh, absolutely.
When you think about it today, still the most qualified. No one else I would trust with a load of guns more than that guy. Anyway, now Steven said he shot him once. But you said there was multiple shots fired.
Oh, no, there were multiple shots fired.
So they tried to kill the goat once.
It was not just once, yeah.
So the first one was behind the, like mafia style.
Yeah, the instructor told him to shoot him behind the ear. Just once. But I think he gave him a 22. It wasn't.
Okay, so and I think Stephen may have mentioned the bullet just wasn't strong enough.
It just wasn't strong enough, and he did he did everything he was asked to do.
So where was the second shot fired?
Yeah, it was again
in the head.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Again in the head. 2 in the head.
And then a third one? Double tap.
I think
triple tap.
Maybe there was a third one.
Whoa!
Maybe there was a third one. He shot him 3 times.
JFK, 3 shots fired. That magic bullet.
Well, so after the first shot,
we're gonna call him Lee Harvey Oswald now. So
after the first shot, the instructor just thought he missed, but then blood starts trickling out of the goat's nose, and it's freaking out. It's like, no, he shot him. This goat is freaking out. And by the way, he's in a small cage. He's got nowhere to run, nothing to do. He's freaked out. He's surrounded by a bunch of high schoolers. This was our biology teacher. We were having a biology lesson.
Yeah, yes, you were.
We were gonna slaughter this goat. We were gonna, handle its organs and and learn about the goat body.
Goat biology, yes. The goat.
Oh, the goat.
This story is the goat, by the way.
And it starts bleeding. It's just an awful sound. It is a terrible, terrible sound. The throes of death are not not wonderful sounds, especially from a goat. They're kind of annoying sounds anyway, but this was a little more traumatic and sad.
So triple tap, zombie goat is still going.
Yeah, well, zombie goat. No, I mean, he was a strong goat. strong goat didn't go down. He just kept screaming.
So it was
And you
Caleb.
could see the fear in his eyes, and it was just so sad.
But the farmer then said, "Well, just go ahead and slit the throat."
Well, yeah, he said,
Right?
well,
That was his suggestion.
yeah, well, after 3 shots didn't put the goat down, he was like, well, okay, let's cut the throat. And
Gave it to Lee Harvey Oswald again.
yes,
Who again?
who had already done what he was asked to do. He did everything right.
But I will say this too. Again, the most qualified with a knife, because he hunted. He skinned. Didn't he skin
Oh, right,
too?
yes, yeah.
He'd
been through it lots of times.
The most
before.
qualified with a
Not
knife
the-
too on treating and dressing deer.
Yeah,
we should say.
deer mainly.
But
yes,
deer mainly.
rabbit and
rabbit and squirrel and everything, yeah.
Yeah, he was the most qualified. But at this point,
He's kind of rattled.
he's pretty rattled. He shot a goat a few
God
times.
bless him. I tried to get him on here last year to tell the story. He went, no.
Yeah.
He smiled and went, no.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, we all felt terrible, and we
Yeah.
felt terrible for him.
Can
And
you, if you close
again,
your eyes, can you
were
still
like,
hear the goat bleeding?
Oh, yeah. I heard
Bleating?
my dreams at night.
Ah.
It was more like, but with a little more like, fight or flight.
A little bit more terror.
Yeah,
involved.
more terror.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the knife comes out,
Yeah, the knife comes out, and again,
looking like a Michael Jackson bad video.
He hands it to our friend, and at this point, I think he thought his duties were done. He'd kind of served. We all thought that. I mean, it was like, all right, man, it's your turn.
Sir,
You brought us out here.
y'all were saluting
to
him.
show us this. Then you chose one of the kids to do it. Now we're all like traumatized. The goat's still screaming. By the way, blood coming out of his mouth, also his nose, the back of his head, and his mouth, and he's perfectly aware. He's perfectly aware. It's like hardly did anything to him.
If he could tell you that, why?
Yeah,
Why? I know
he's
nothing.
like,
I know nothing.
What are you? What are you doing?
What
to
do
me?
you want? Just tell me what you want.
So he's got the knife in his hand, and he's shaking. You can see.
Yeah.
You can see. It's
This
not
is pretty awful.
It's not
yeah.
a fun thing, and we kind of all at this point. I think the professor grabbed the horns, and we were holding the goat down.
Okay,
we
for
had
him
his legs.
to slice.
Yeah, for him
Okay.
to do this, so it wasn't
Right.
bucking around.
So it was like Karate Kid. They're
But
holding
but
holding Daniel and going, do it,
But
do
it's
it.
looking at us. It's looking at him.
He's got that one
and
eye.
And he's and blood is coming everywhere out of his face, and the hand is shaking, and he goes to do it, and he just bless him, he misses.
But as Steven said, he cut him enough to think that, oh, we did get it because there's blood coming out.
Well, yeah, I mean, he cut his throat. He didn't really.
He didn't go deep, is what deep enough. But they thought he'd done it because there was blood coming out.
Oh no!
It just wasn't the artery, right?
Right, yeah, he didn't exactly hit the artery. Well, first of all, it was not a quick action. It was kind of like he was...
Okay, a little shaky.
He was shaky. It's tough. You got to do it hard and quick.
Yeah.
He was already shaken. And so it kind of... He started pressing on the neck of the goat with this knife, and then he started kind of trying to saw it a little bit. And then he started, jab hacking at it, trying to cut this goat's throat, and he made it through the trachea. And
did he ask the goat before, "What's your favorite scary movie?" This one.
Real life.
True love.
So he cuts the trachea, and so now we get and blood starts spraying like a lawn sprinkler. It just starts spraying out of this hole in his neck every time he breathes and screams, and it's just awful, just terrible. I mean,
I'm glad I'm letting you
several of the
relive
kids
this moment.
ran away. Oh, it was terrible.
Oh yeah, no. I heard, and we can say his name. Zach had enough and left.
Yeah,
he was
bolted.
out. He was out.
I think he was
was out
really
after the
Steven.
first shot was fired, and he saw they didn't die, I think Zach left early.
There are
Maybe I need to get Zach in for part 3 of the story.
yeah,
his
I would
side.
love to hear his side of it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we were all shocked and traumatized. But I mean, I think it might have just been us four, the professor and Steve and myself and the other guy. At this point, because it was just so awful and so hard, and this goat would not die. He had something he wanted to live for. He was hanging on.
Hey
tough.
there, goat. What's so important? You press on his chest. True love.
As you wish.
Yeah, man. Goat can. Okay.
Yeah.
So you hang him upside down, but you had an additional detail that Steven had forgotten.
Well, yeah, so after that didn't work, I mean, what should have happened, in my opinion, after the shots were fired, the professor should have taken it on.
And done it
and
himself.
slaughtered
Yeah.
the goat himself. It was terrible of him
I
to put him
think-
through that.
I think if he could have gone back and done it all over again, it would have been dead already. He would have said, "Okay, this is all messed up."
Well, what he should have done right then was just take the knife and do it himself. But he didn't want to do it himself. That was the problem. So he kept...
Did any parent complain afterwards? That's what I want to know. I
don't-
want to know if
Nobody complained when
I
they
want-
ate that goat. I'll tell you that.
Hey! I want to know if Shonda went to, because she's the only one I can see.
Man, I don't know.
Either
I'm not
way.
sure that we told anybody about this.
You made a pact like it, and you're just like, one of those bloodos that just slits your thing. We tell no one, we tell no soul. What happened here today was day.
Well, even just stringing it up, it was a terrible process because they put this pole through its like leg tendons and hang it upside down, and the goat is terrified, and it just starts. It's like a shit fountain. Just little goat pellets start bursting forth and raining down.
It's so bad.
Raining down droplets, and I think so. It's not properly slit. It's spinning around because it's suspended from a chain in the roof of the barn, and it's spinning around.
Worst day ever.
Just ring of fire, man. Just blood everywhere. Huffing blood.
But
Goat pellets spewing out like a fountain. Just raining down. It was the worst. Yeah,
Wow.
one of the worst experiences.
It's funny because I heard that after that day, all the other goats on his farm were so well behaved. Oh my goodness. All right, so yeah, thanks for the additional details. And for anyone who didn't want to hear the goat story on Prince of the Universe and shut it off early, I'm so sorry. But, so, done with the goat story. Done. Moving on.
Deep breath.
Deep breaths. Deep breaths. I also, because you remember a lot more of Forest, Mississippi, where we used to live, than I thought you did. And we were talking about this last night. And one of our good friends, I can say his name, I don't care. It's a very generic name, Bill Jackson.
Oh, Bill, yeah.
But he was our best friend, and it was weird because, and you remembered this too, is what I can't believe, because he was your typical 10-year-old or whatever, but there was no one better. There was no one better in my life than Bill. I felt
hilarious,
like.
yeah.
And he came up to us one day. He just ran across the street. He lived across the street from us, catty corner across the street. Ran across the street in his blue jeans. He goes, "Guys, watch this." And he goes, and he holds his, he's clenching his fist. He's kind of flexing a little bit, and he pisses his pants right in front of us. Now, a normal person, maybe even a normal child, would have gone, "That's gross. I'm telling your mom, or you have serious issues. Leave me alone." But as he went away, we were laughing so hard, and we thought, man, he is the best.
There's nothing funnier than
There's
pissing
nothing
your pants when
funnier
you're 8
than
years
pissing your
old.
pants. I would never have done that. But that he did it just elevated him in my sight as a legend. Now, I want to tell him that. I still talk to him.
No way.
Yeah, I still talk to him.
Good. How's he doing?
He's doing pretty good. And I want to talk to him. I don't think that's a memory he wants to relive. But I just think it's funny Because, and there's another thing he did with the Fisher-Price men. You go ahead. You tell that one.
Oh, the Fisher-Price men. Yeah, so Bill was a hilarious dude. And he would take his Fisher-Price men, and what would he say? Like, no, please don't. And then he would throw them in the toilet and flush them down. No.
But he always saved the dogs for last. Sparky, flush. And the thing is, again, you would think this child has certain psychological issues that need to be addressed by a counselor.
Yeah, I'm glad he turned out well.
But oh no, he turned out great. You know what he does?
No.
He's an accountant.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, rolling in the cheddar. I think his wife's an accountant. His wife's someone really smart too. Maybe really, they're both really smart.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell back when he was 10 that the man flushing Fisher-Price people down the toilet making noises. But the best part was when his mom would bang on the door. Bill, you flushing Fisher-Price men down the toilet again? Like he'd done this before.
Oh, yeah.
And then he goes, no, Mom, I'm going to the bathroom. And then puts his hand across his face and he goes, and he makes the thing. And of course, you're still laughing because it's still funny. Fart jokes will always be funny to kids.
Oh, man. I remember he had this like, Pee Wee Herman toy. And I loved Pee Wee Herman when I was a kid. That was like my favorite movie. Pee Wee's Big Adventure was like
oh yeah, it was a big
one
movie.
of my favorite. I love Tim Burton. Tim Burton was great. But like and I loved playing with Pee Wee Herman.
I think you pulled a string and he would say stuff,
yeah, he would
right?
talk,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean the talking Pee Wee Herman. People know this one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
I got his laugh down.
You really,
Here it is.
You do a really good impersonation.
I can do his laugh.
Yeah. You got Paul Rubens down.
Oh man, he's great.
Well, one day I went over to Bill's house, and I was looking for the dog. I couldn't find it anywhere, and it was hanging from the chain switch on the fan. He had hung Pee Wee. So yeah, I'm glad he turned out okay. 'Cause, yeah, there were some concerning.
Now, I thought about this other one. Do you remember this? Michael Phillips, we're giving away names now.
Yeah.
He was the bat, and it was weird because he was someone who destroyed his toys. He was like Sid from Toy Story.
Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, right?
Yeah.
He got him. I think I've told the story before. He had a brand new Millennium Falcon, brought it over and said meteor shower, and picked up our bricks and started throwing bricks on top of it and shattered it to a million pieces. I had to walk away. It hurt my heart to see that. He had one of those little remote control robots that served things on a tray, and he just kept smashing against the road just to get the pieces and the circuits out. And I mean, so that kid's in jail, obviously, somewhere.
Yeah.
That kid's in jail.
He's still alive.
We could play inside Bill's house. We could never go inside Michael's house.
You know, Mom told me this story one time about Michael Phillips. I was 3, so I don't remember it, but she couldn't find me, and she was looking all over for me, and she found me and Michael Phillips in the bushes, and he was teaching me to say shit.
I heard he was teaching you to say something else too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I think that's all Mom told me.
Yeah, well, he was teaching you the bad words to say. And
Yeah.
so
He was
Mom
teaching me
chased
all
him
the
out.
bad words. That's right.
Mom chased him out. So,
This is what type of kid he was.
yeah, he wasn't the nicest guy, but anyway,
My first words.
we were we were playing on opposite sides of the road because Michael was exactly across the street from Bill, and we weren't allowed to go over to his yard, so we could play in Bill's yard. We couldn't go in Michael's yard that day, or whatever reason. And no, Michael couldn't come over. He couldn't leave his front yard.
Yeah.
And he wanted us to go play in his yard.
Yeah, that's right.
But we were playing in Bill's yard, so we said no. And Bill goes, "Hey, Michael, do you remember this?" And he said, "You like my airplanes?" And he put his fingers up to make them look like airplanes, with the middle one being the cockpit. And he goes, and starts flying them around at even pace. And then both of them go Blue Angel right up in the air. Do you remember this? But he's moving, he's flying around, moving them, and then he plants both of his feet as he's flying, as he's running around the yard with them, and goes, "Look at my airplanes!" And just raises them both up. And we didn't get it at first, and then when he raised them both up, we're like, "Ah!"
Going Blue Angel.
I may have pissed my pants laughing.
Bill's genius.
He pretty much is. Shoot, another thing he would be proud of probably today that he did this. The other one. Do you remember? We're talking about old memories here. Is what we're going to do. We're just keeping with Forrest. The bug spray guy.
I was afraid of the bug spray guy.
You were afraid of the. Oh yeah, you were little. So big white puffy clouds that just came, and they would. He came down the street, big white puffy cloud that would just spread. And it was coming.
Oh yeah.
You remember it come over the ditch, and then you couldn't see the ditch anymore. And then it's coming to you,
yeah,
and you're like
terrifying.
freaking out and running. Okay, because it's like The Mist. It's like Stephen King's The Mist. You're running away. You don't know what's in there.
Just massive amounts of chemicals down the street.
And you know what we did, right?
I ran and hid.
Jeremy Bray and I, we biked up because the game was how long you could bike behind the bug spray guy.
Oh, great.
But it's okay because I took my shirt and I covered my nose and face with it like this.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
Because we thought that was a smart thing to do.
No wonder why we all have coughs.
Well, I'm just saying that there's a reason. You're the younger one, which you're going to outlive us, but there's another reason probably why.
I ran and hid. Well, it was because...
No, you had brains.
I don't know that I had
Running
brains.
behind
That's a lot of
playing
credit.
a game to stay behind the bug spray guy, and we thought there was nothing wrong with it, even when our eyes were watering up.
Burning.
They were.
Your lungs burning.
They'd burn after a while, and you'd have to pull over because you couldn't see anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Chemicals.
Big, nice chemicals. Yeah. What else do you remember?
I remember.
Do you remember?
Handcuffed me to a tree in the back, behind the backyard.
Really?
Yeah, that was traumatic for me, because
I got handcuffed to a tree there too.
Oh, maybe that's why you did it. You're passing it down.
Maybe so.
That's what happens.
That little wood area was really. Do you remember that?
That was a great.
Do you remember Dead Man's Pond?
Dead Man's Pond.
It wasn't a pond. It was something was there. Some structure used to be there because there was a little water plumbing thing that was sticking out, and there was just water all around it. It may have been a storage shed or something. We don't know. But everything was gone, but there was some pipe there that used to be there. And it wasn't that big of a
another
pond.
chemical dump.
But the story was, you make up your own ghost stories. We said, and the pond was, smaller than a bedroom, probably, one of the bedrooms here, half the size, maybe.
Right.
But we said, there used to be a man that lived in this house, and he drowned his family. And you're thinking, wow, what did they have? All lived on bunk beds and had one kitchen and a bathroom because it was a very small space. But you believe the story.
People done worse.
And if you stick your hand in there or your toe in there, the children or the mom or whatever will come out and grab you and drag you down.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Spooky.
It was spooky. Do you remember the time, I don't know if you were with me, I found an armadillo back there. I thought it was dead, and I went to go pick it up, and it started moving, and I ran for my life from an armadillo. I was freaked out. I was like, what is that? And I saw it moving. I was like, it is a creature! And I booked it.
Did you think it was a gray ball? Look at this.
Well, the thing is, though, I hear those things can jump.
Yeah, they do.
So if I would have snuck up on him and grabbed him, he would have smacked me in the face with his shell, and that really would have scarred me for life.
Apparently, they make for good roadkill because they'll just jump into the car.
Yeah.
They can scuttle, I guess, but they get spooked and they jump and then into the grill.
Only armadillo I think I've ever seen in real life.
One time I had to clean up some armadillo roadkill by the side of the church on 3rd. And I don't know, this was before Geneva has moved now to school.
Yeah.
But I was, they made us do all the dirty work. But anyway, I grabbed this shovel and I was about to shovel this armadillo, and I think it was Chris Pryor and Caleb Peacock were holding the trash bag open, and I shoveled this thing and it just slid off. And maggots just burbled up from everywhere. It was like a magic trick. Oh, it was awesome. And then of course, Chris. Maybe he's gonna hate me for saying this, but he just ran away.
It's the same response he'd give today.
It is. But they both went running and left me to clean that mess up all by myself. Poor me.
Yeah. Man, oh man. You seen Chris lately?
Actually, I did see him a couple.
He slimmed back down
in October. Yeah,
Slim
he
back
looks
down.
good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
Getting back to old rare form again.
rare form.
I'm telling you what. So the other memory I have is of the war. I say the war with the Girl Scouts. Do you recall this?
The war.
The war.
Oh.
Bray remembers this because I talked to Bray recently about it.
All
right, we had
in
a
those
little
woods. Where
we had a
pine
little
cones?
clubhouse. There you go.
Yeah.
And we gathered pine cones.
Yeah, the war.
The Girl Scouts wanted to come. You know that Kim Carr. She had a girl. She said, "Hey, we want to come hang out in your fort." And I went, "No girls allowed."
Yeah.
Now it wasn't a fort. It was basically a bunch of pine straw over some low hanging branches that made a hut. That we may have had a few other little. I think someone pulled up their hedges, and so we brought their hedges. And I remember we had like a little wall.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of neat. And I said, "No." She went, "Okay, well, we're coming anyway." I say, "Oh, we will prepare for battle." You know, because this means war. And so we spent the time, as the Girl Scouts were getting dropped off at our house, we spent the time gathering pine cones, even the green ones.
Oh yeah.
And
Those are
so,
the best with it. I call those grenades.
grenades. We were ready to defend our home from the Girl Scouts. Those Girl Scouts arrived en masse, and here they came. And we said, "Fire." And we kept firing. But the Girl Scouts had something we did not. Cookies and brains. And they knew that our reach, our throw, they gauged how far we could throw it, and they stood just outside the hit zone. Boys, not being smart, kept throwing. Once all of our ammo was depleted, they stepped forward and gathered the pine cones. And that's when I said my favorite words. Retreat! Retreat! Ah! Like Chris. Ah! Ah! And we all ran for it because they came at us. I mean, they charged with a vengeance.
Oh, man.
And they were holding pine cones in their little skirts. They had shorts underneath, you know. But they came at us. They had their own little hole, and they were chucking us.
Oh,
and we were getting pelted. We ran. They tore up the whole fort. And it was just a disaster. It was a humiliating defeat by girls.
We lost that war.
We lost that war. But I think you were a part of it.
I was a part of that war.
All right.
They weren't going for me. I was too young.
Yeah, you were too young, too cute. You could have gotten away with it. You probably gave them our secret. They can't throw past this line. I remember, what are they waiting for? Keep firing!
I was just running around throwing pine cones at whoever.
You throw a pine cone next to the person next to you. Hey! I just want to throw a pine cone, dude. I can't even hit.
Friendly fire.
Yeah, well, probably your pine cones we could have retrieved. 2, 3 feet.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I was running out to get you pine cones.
Oh, man. Send a runner! I need a reload! You know, we came up.
They won't kill the messenger.
We won't kill the messenger. But they did. They killed us all. Do you remember the coral snake Dad found behind the shed? Had to smash it. I remember that one. It was like a little... It was black versus yellow. When black touches yellow... I can't remember. When red touches yellow, he's a dangerous fellow. When red touches black, he's okay Jack. That's what we had. And I don't think it was poisonous. It was a coral, but it wasn't...
runner. Just a runner.
No. This one was multiple colors because it scared me. It was a tiny one. It was in that old... Remember the old shed in the backyard?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
It was in there. And Dad was cleaning it. And he found it. And you remember the... I told everyone about a wood heater we had. Wood burning furnace for the house.
Right.
That when Dad threw wood in there, the heat immediately went to the house. You want to talk about going from... bone cold to, I'm in the sun.
Yeah, those worked great.
Those things worked.
Well, I had a collection of roly-polies. Mom would always find roly-polies in my pockets because, I don't know, they were my favorite creature, I guess.
Then you just tap them and they're automatic BBs.
Yeah, they're little balls that you could just roll them. But I built a whole little colony in the, what do you call the...
Ant farm?
No, the back of the back of a chimney where the...
Oh, yeah. The ash comes out. Where you're taking out all the ash.
Yeah,
in
where
the back.
you take out all the ash and everything. So
Yeah.
I started collecting roly-polies and put
In
them
there.
in there and created a little roly-poly colony. I'm not even sure how they survived.
Do you remember we put the ash on that was where home plate was on our baseball field, and we put ash all over it, so when you patted it was a lot of smoke, so you could slide into it and a bunch of dust would go everywhere.
Yeah, it's like Sandlot.
Yeah. We had a backyard baseball, too. We had a couple of neighborhood teams and everything. Remember we had the fence and everything, even though it was not I wanted it to be 100 feet, and it was like 60.
I don't know. It felt like 100 feet.
It
to
felt
me.
like 100 feet, but yeah, that's something. But yeah, all right. Well, you know what? Maybe we beat Caleb. Those are some good stories. Thanks for the goat story, part 2.
Oh man.
That's what I'm gonna call this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a rough one.
Rough one. All right. Hey, folks, that's it for now. If you like Jordan, you can say it in the comments. We can bring him back. We can bring him back for another one. All right, folks. We'll see you next time on Saturday Morning Samoflange. I'm a little congested.